let's just assume the question is, how did the Tea Party get here? I mean, it's interesting to me that it's a question about this issue of disarticulated production in the United States and such like, and then India. Because my sense, and I've written a little bit about this, precisely because I think India is, as I say in one of the articles, India is at the bottom of the well of this debate. You know, in the 1970s and 1980s up to the mid-1990s, when that great beast arbitrage helped the deindustrialization of, you know, the Wisconsin and Detroit and all these places lost so many factories, including where I work, Hartford, Connecticut. So many factories, mid-level factories, in things along the Connecticut River that made paper, for instance. Paper factories just went bust in this period. You know, paper production factories, artisanal paper, all went down the tubes. In that period, the layoffs were in industry. And hence you get this evisceration of American unionism, the decline in union membership, you get industrial jobs largely going. And there were protests against NAFTA. When I was in Providence, we participated in anti-NAFTA things. And I think a lot of the union fears about globalization were wrapped into NAFTA. And NAFTA became the big struggle for the kind of declining American unionism. And then that struggle went under the water and emerged at election times, and then now maybe it's being reborn in Wisconsin, perhaps. But after the 2000s, in the 2000s, during the time of George Bush, a new dynamic of de-servicization starts in the United States. A new dynamic, which is that you have increased technology, increased, say, computer technology, more secure communication lines, things like that, and you get the ability, therefore, to outsource what they call BPO, business process outsourcing. Much more of that is going to take place in the 2000s. So, for instance, I met a very interesting young woman in Bangalore who does a biochemical research. And what she does is, say, Pfizer, their researchers in Switzerland are blocked in a process they're working on, and there are 3 or 4 different avenues they can go in. So rather than spend money in Switzerland, hiring more researchers to cover the 5 areas they can go in, they find 5 labs in India, and they give each of the labs the research assignment for that piece of the potential project. And so they don't know what they're doing in terms of the totality of the research. They don't know what the other 4, who they are. They just do one piece of the research. And that's high-level research, but because of the different wage rates, it's much cheaper to do it in Bangalore. So these are highly skilled scientists, many of them PhD Purdue, PhD Berkeley, working in Bangalore in these small biochemical research facilities doing business process outsourcing. Then, of course, there are the vast warehouses in China, in India, used to be in Ireland, which would do the secondary level, but not just, hi, you're called 1-800-UNITED and you get somebody in Pune. I don't mean that. I mean they do high level of business processing. They'll, process applications, things like that. And that will go from the big office parks of the Midwest, from Iowa, from Indiana. Those huge office parks built on the outskirts of suburbs will be emptied. And there's a TV show called Outsourced. I don't know how many of you have seen it. It's basically that. Big office park closes down, and then this guy is given the option. He becomes a manager in Bangalore. It's a stupid show. But that's exactly the kind of thing they've picked up on. And it's those folk who are typically white, in the heartland, who are mad that their jobs are gone, and not NAFTA for them, but Obama, and India, and terrorism, and those become the core issues. I would say that the base of the Tea Party, and I heard a great paper given by a young woman, Julie Weiss, she argues that in some exurbs of the South, Virginia, etc., it's Latino migrants moving into suburbs and exurbs that fuels some of this anti-immigrant stuff. But in Indiana, in Iowa, Ohio, Indiana, in these states, it's outsourcing. That's a huge issue. So I visited a few Tea Party rallies. Outsourcing is like a huge underexplored issue for that rage. So I don't know if it is anti-Muslim or anything, but it's certainly highly problematic in the vision they have of how international economics works. It's not that the Chinese and the Indians are taking away their jobs. The problem is these uneven hierarchies of economic relations around the planet. The problem is that there's differential wage rates. And what I think is going to happen is in the United States, the subsistence wage is going to go down further. And maybe here it'll go up a little and it'll meet at some point, and then you might get the basis of some global solidarity. But right now, when subsistence rates are higher in one container and lower in another, the workers here will always blame other workers for their jobs going away. And that creates certain kinds of hatred of different people. But I don't think it's about Islam. I think it's focused on these places, Chinese workers, Indian workers, outsourcing, and things like that.